Hello, friendos. The purpose of this video is twofold. Count them twofold. One is to provide some documentation for potential sellers. For potential buyers of this guitar, which is sort of like casually for sale on Reverb right now. And the second and more fun is the purpose is to document a rarely seen Gibson. This is a 1967 ES-125C. And it is an absolute delight. If you got to this video from the post on Reverb, then hopefully you know that it comes with the original case, as well as the totally adorable original pickguard, which belonged to my friend and yours, Doug Fleming. My internet sleuthing attempts to find out more about Mr. Fleming have not turned up anything, but I don't know. It kind of makes me happy when an instrument gets touched in this sort of way. In the case also came what I presume to be the original flat round strings, and this lovely Sonomatic strings tag that would have came with the guitar, as well as this kind of setup guide or setup note card that came from Gibson as well. The case is barely adequate. It's kind of like one step up from like pure chipboard, because there is some felt insulation, but it's more substantial than chipboard, but you can tell it also is just like more chipboard. It's done a good enough job keeping this guitar safe. As far as I can tell, it's also going to be the original case for like a J45 or other full depth. Maybe not a J45, that might be deeper. I don't know, but there is some value in the case if you felt like separating those things. I didn't want to separate them because it was just too cool to keep it all together. What kind of things do I want to show you? I want to show you the sunburst, and I also want to acknowledge that this, like, my rehearsal space / storage space that I'm in right this second has incredibly bright fluorescent lighting, and this reads, at least on my camera right now, like way more kind of clown bursty and red heavy than it does in person. It is not kind of as bright as it appears. It is still like a vibrant finish for sure, but it's a little bit subtler than it reads. Behind me, you see me plugged into a Epiphone Pathfinder from the mid-60s. I think maybe 64, 65. It's got the original Jensen 12, the silver one with the small magnet. Forget the codes for it. A little bit of reverb, and this guitar through that amp is just a delight. Other things I mentioned in the ad that I just kind of want to show you in person is I said that the nut is just a shade high. I stand by it. Well, rather, the nut is probably, close to right if you like a medium kind of acoustic action. It can get shaved down on the bottom a bit if you wanted to bring it closer into 335 full electric territory. The There is kind of two iterations of this guitar. One has the wooden bridge that you are gonna maybe be familiar with from ES-150s and other fully hollow body arch tops with the non-adjustable saddles, rosewood bridge with a sort of rosewood top with adjustability side screws for that action, but no adjustability on the saddles. And then also, I believe beginning in 1967, but it could have been a little earlier, I'm not positive, you have this nylon saddled ABR1 that screws into those, like, into some mounting posts right there. As far as I can tell, I've got no reason to believe that any of the hardware on this guitar has been replaced. It looks like I understand it should look. That includes the tuners, which are in like fine functional condition. These three in a line cloisons can get a little stiff, especially with the plastic buttons. Some of them are a little stiff, but they just turn just fine. There are loads of drop-in replacements if you wanted to gig the shit out of this, and stiffness is a bug to you. It is difficult to read the on camera, difficult to read the serial number on the back of the headstock, but we've got 875042. Let's see, other things I wanted to kind of show you would be let me play a minute. There's really like a pretty negligible amount of fret wear, a little bit of light flattening and some stuff, but like no need for a recrown, no need for really no need for nothing right now. I accidentally took this. The truss rod cover is totally intact. It's got the two screws for it. They're just hanging out in the case. You can see what I mean with the unexpected truss rod adjustment side of things. That is a recessed hex screw, when what you should be seeing, or what you would sort of expect to see on a Gibson of this era, is that acorn tip. And I just, for a second. Also, I just kind of caught it in the light. This on camera right now kind of looks like a mark that you would expect from a headstock repair. It is not. That is just like some finish chipping on the headstock veneer. This is not a headstock that has been repaired at all. The finish checking that's on the back of the headstock is consistent throughout. It has not had a crack. The checking on the guitar is just really pretty and really even, and not something that is going to be especially easy to pick up on camera like this. Around the edges of this fluorescent light above me, you kind of get a sense of the nature of that checking, and that's really consistent across the guitar. I had like this, whatever happened with this truss rod, just my Sherlock Holmes, Dr. Quinn, medicine woman, inquisitive mind, educated layperson vibe just tells me it must have happened a million years ago. I can't tell you that the whole truss rod was replaced, because I don't really know how to replace a truss rod. So, but that end indicates that like something happened, because that is not the adjustment end that should be there. There is like separation of wear on the, like between the neck and the fingerboard, and it's on both sides of the guitar. It's like pretty, like appropriate for stuff that I've seen on just really well played in guitars. But it also totally could be a sign that for whatever work needed to happen on the truss rod, the fingerboard had to come off and then had to get put back on. If that is what happened, there's no sign of any refinishing of the neck that occurred when that happened. And why I say that is just from like the evenness of wear from that fingerboard edge, like that wear matches what is otherwise normally on the neck. And this is a pretty dark neck, but it fades to a little bit lighter towards the headstock, and then fades once it reaches the body and is like pretty identical to the one that is on my 64 J50, and the checking patterns on every part of the neck matches exactly what I'm seeing on the guitar. Everything that I'm saying right now is just sort of like, observations into deductions into me representing the guitar to the best of my ability. Which is all I can do. We all can only do our best. Here are some things about this guitar that I have read on the internet and urge you to take a grain of salt about. Confirm with your own research. This guitar is just a little out of tune. And my tuner's on my phone, so we're doing our best. And the reason why it's out of tune is not because it doesn't hold tune, but because I didn't tune it with a tuner before I started the video. So my humblest apologies. I read that there's like 400-ish of these that exist. They were made for a little tiny pocket of years and are like an interesting amalgamation of some design traits from a number of different models from the area. This would have been considered at its time like student-ish quality, because your adornments are just front and back body binding, no binding on the neck, No binding on the headstock, no inlay on the headstock, and a single pickup at the neck that is going to be comparable to the ES-1, I think it's 150. This body type is similar in dimension to the ES-175. Between these like kind of 100 series ESs, you usually see things like C, which stands for cut, as like a suffix letter, or also T, which stands for thin line. This is not a thin line, although this top body shape is available in both like a double pickup thin line, and you would see that would be like TDC, right? Thin line, double pickup, cutaway. But this exact amalgamation, there are barely any. This makes it 4 times as rare as a burst. So I'm just saying, you're guaranteed to have a rate of return on this investment of, orders of magnitude. Right now I'm turning the amp up to give you some distortion out of the amp, and then also to just give you a little sense of how much kind of clarity and control just messing with the volume gives you. That's at 5, and now we're up to 8. Now we're at full out. Plays super cleanly all the way up. The neck is like real close to straight, a little bit of relief in it. The truss rod works exactly like I would expect a truss rod to work. It has no problems adjusting, does what it's supposed to do. Oh no! Oh no! Darn it! Wow, such drama. If it has been noisy in the background, it's because there is a gentle rainstorm. The electricity on this storage unit is on a timer. Usually the timer is set to not go off, but guess what? It just went off. Let's see, what other things would I want to know if I was thinking about buying this guitar? There are, like, the structural integrity of the body is super strong. Like, I've got nothing. There's nothing to really point out. There are no breaks. There are no repairs. The evenness of checking is really, kind of nice and pleasant all the way around. The binding is in good shape. There's no rot of any kind. The neck joint looks like what I would expect a mid-60s neck joint that has not been fucked around with to look. You are, let's see if I can, there's still like a good arch to the top. We're not falling or sinking in any place that is discernible to me. Same story with the back. You've got some adjustability left on the bridge on those adjustment posts. That adjustability increases if you decide to bring the nut down a little bit. I'm gonna play a song because I think that this is like it's a really great guitar to kind of be in a where would you normally use an acoustic in a solo set, like as a singer-songwriter. I'm also excited about this song. I just finished it. I'm a rock opera liker and rock opera writer, and so this song will make most sense to you if you imagine that the perspective of the song is occupied by somebody who operates a print whatever you want on your t-shirt stand in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina in the mid-1990s. And he's talking to somebody who's thinking about getting a shirt printed. It's just so pleasant. I really like this guitar. It's for sale because I don't know, something told me to put it up. Maybe somebody's like really, really, really looking for one. I just happened upon it, and I love it. But also, I wouldn't mind experimenting and having some experience with something from the same era that is the thinner style, and maybe something with the bridge pickup. But there is a certain amount of like swag, I think, with showing up neck only. I think it's a strong move. Anyway. If you think of any questions, just ask me. And if you got here through Reverb, well, gosh, aren't you happy that somebody's finally giving guitar demonstrations that are half an hour long? They can say anything you want. They can say anything. The front and the back don't have to match. They can say anything. Don't blame me, I voted for Perot. Buy the cars back in Desert Storm. Party naked in him I'm reborn. Cowabunga, nuke the whales. Myrtle Beach, hot tub and spa. Supports Little League ball. When you can't find the one, when you feel out of sync, change what you got on. Change change how you think. It's no mystery. People take a t-shirt way too seriously. Some folks believe what they read. They can say anything. Proud Confederate daughter, welcome to Black Bike Week. Sell it right the first time. Fuck. The only fuck-ups I fix are mine. 2 colors are free. It costs more for 3. They can say anything. They can say anything. Alright, well, it's just like, that's the risk you take when you throw a song that nobody asked for. What you're hearing is dirty power from that amp and nothing from the guitar. But that's the risk you take, people, when you throw a song that nobody asked for in what is basically a classified ad. Look, you risk flubbing up the sort of like false chorus and being stuck with it because you know for a damn sure you're not gonna like re-record this entire 27-minute monstrosity just so you can get the song right. I love you, and buy this guitar if you want. Okay.